In the farthest corner of the world, beyond frozen seas and burning deserts, two kingdoms existed that could never live in peace. One was ruled by ice, the other was ruled by fire. For centuries, their powers clashed. Storms against flames, winter against heat. But no one expected the future of both kingdoms would depend on two people who were never supposed to meet, an ice princess and a fire prince. And when they finally did, the world itself began to change. Far in the northern lands stood the kingdom of Frostvale. Frostvale was a land of endless snow. Its mountains were made of shining glaciers and its rivers flowed beneath thick layers of ice. The people there were strong and resilient, used to living in the cold winds of winter. At the center of the kingdom stood a magnificent palace, carved entirely from crystal ice, and inside that palace lived Princess Elira, known throughout the kingdom as the Ice Princess. Elira was not an ordinary princess. The night she was born, a magical storm covered the entire kingdom in silver snow. When the royal wizard examined the newborn child, he discovered something impossible. Her heart radiated ancient winter magic. As she grew older, her powers began to reveal themselves. When she walked through the royal gardens, frost formed beneath her footsteps. When she laughed, snowflakes appeared in the air. And when she was angry, the wind itself obeyed her. The people loved their princess, but they also feared the power she carried. Thousands of miles away, beyond deserts of golden sand, lay another powerful kingdom called Solarin. Unlike Frostvale, Solarin was a land of blazing heat and endless sunlight. Volcanoes burned in the distance, and rivers of lava flowed through deep valleys. The people of Solarin believed fire was a sacred gift, and their greatest protector was Prince Kael, known as the Fire Prince. Prince Kael possessed a rare and powerful ability. He could control flames, but when he trained with the royal guards, his sword would burst into fire. When he raised his hands, sparks danced through the air, and when danger approached the kingdom, Kael could summon massive walls of fire to protect his people. Just like Princess Elira, Kael carried ancient magic inside him. Magic passed down through generations of rulers. For hundreds of years, Frostvale and Solarin had been enemies. The kingdoms believed their powers were too dangerous to exist together. But fire melted ice. Ice extinguished fire. Their armies had fought many battles across the years, but neither kingdom had ever truly won. Instead, a fragile balance remained, until one day, something terrible happened deep beneath the mountains that separated the two kingdoms. An ancient evil began to awaken. Long before the kingdoms existed, a powerful creature called the Shadow Titan had once ruled the land. The Titan fed on chaos, war, and destruction. But when the first kings of Frostvale and Solaran discovered the creature, they united their powers to defeat it. Ice and fire together sealed the Titan deep beneath the earth. But over the centuries, the kingdoms forgot that they once fought side by side, and as their hatred grew, the seal began to weaken. Now the Titan was waking once again. Dark clouds spread across the sky. Earthquakes shook both kingdoms. Strange shadows moved across the land. And soon, the royal advisors realized the truth. The ancient monster was returning. Both kingdoms possessed ancient prophecies in Frostvale. The royal scrolls spoke of a future where the Child of Winter must unite with the Child of Flame, or the world will fall into endless darkness. In Solaran, a similar prophecy existed. Only when ice and fire stand together will the Shadow Titan be defeated. But the rulers of both kingdoms refused to believe it. For them, the idea of joining forces with their enemy seemed impossible. Yet fate had already begun to move. One evening, Princess Elira secretly left the palace to explore the mountains beyond Frostvale. She loved wandering the frozen wilderness, far away from the whispers and expectations of the court. But that night, something unusual happened. The air suddenly became warm. Not just slightly warm. Hot Elira followed the strange heat through the snowy forest until she reached a frozen lake. And there, standing in the center of the ice, was a young man surrounded by glowing flames. Prince Kael. He had crossed the border while searching for the source of the earthquakes, shaking his kingdom. When he saw Elira, his flames flickered in surprise. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Fire and ice stood only a few steps apart. Their powers reacted instantly. Steam rose into the air as heat and frost collided. Elira narrowed her eyes. "You shouldn't be here," she said. Kael replied calmly, "Neither should you." At first, they argued like enemies. But as they talked, both realized something shocking. They were experiencing the same disasters in their kingdoms, the same earthquakes, the same spreading darkness. And soon, they discovered the ancient prophecies. Slowly, the truth became impossible to ignore. The Shadow Titan was returning, and the only way to stop it was to combine their powers. Reluctantly at first, Elira and Kael began training together in secret. At the frozen lake where they first met, they practiced controlling their powers, but working together wasn't easy. Sometimes Kael's flames melted Elira's ice too quickly. Sometimes Elira's storms extinguished Kael's fire. They argued often, but with every attempt, they improved. Over time, something unexpected happened. They began to trust each other. Kael admired Elira's strength and determination. Elira respected Kael's courage and kindness. and the balance between fire and ice slowly became stronger. Then the day arrived. The ground shook violently across both kingdoms. Mountains cracked, volcanoes erupted, and from the center of the great valley between the kingdoms, the Shadow Titan finally emerged. It was enormous, a creature made of darkness and stone. Its glowing red eyes burned like two suns. Every step it took shattered the earth. The armies of Frostvale and Solaran tried to stop it, but their attacks were useless. Ice broke against its armor. Fire disappeared into the darkness surrounding it. The Titan laughed as it marched toward the kingdoms. Princess Elira and Prince Kael rode together to face the monster. The sky darkened as they approached the battlefield. Thousands of soldiers watched as the two young rulers stepped forward. Kael looked at Elira. "Ready?" he asked. Elira nodded. Together, they raised their hands. Ice winds roared across the battlefield. Flames spiraled into the sky. The two forces merged into a powerful storm of fire and frost. The Titan roared and attacked, but this time the magic was different. Fire strengthened the ice. Ice controlled the fire. The combined power struck the Titan like a massive wave. The creature staggered for the first time in centuries. It was losing. With one final blast of united magic, Elira and Kael unleashed a brilliant explosion of light. When the light faded, the Titan had turned into a silent mountain of crystal and stone, defeated forever. After the battle, something extraordinary happened. The people of Frostvale and Solaran realized the truth. Their kingdoms were never meant to be enemies. Ice and fire were strongest together. Peace finally spread across the lands. And in time, Princess Elira and Prince Kael ruled their kingdoms side by side. Winter became gentler. The deserts bloomed with new life. And the world entered a new era where fire and ice lived in harmony. And that is the story of the Ice Princess and the Fire Prince. If you enjoyed this magical adventure, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Dreamy Storyland, and share this story with friends who love fantasy tales. Your support helps this channel continue bringing enchanted kingdoms, brave heroes, and magical worlds to life. And remember, in Dreamy Storyland, every story begins with wonder and ends with a little magic. Until the next magical adventure.